They thought you were a footnote. Turns out you were the plot twist. Welcome back, my dear chosen ones. Let's get one thing straight right now. You weren't just a chapter in their story. You were the turning point. You didn't stumble into their life like a passerby in a storm. You were the calm, the clarity, the rare kind of presence that changes the weather just by showing up. But instead of embracing that, they treated you like background noise, and now they're stuck in static. Here's the truth wrapped in steel and served without apology. They mistook your value because they couldn't recognize their own lack. You weren't loud, you weren't flashy, you were power in silence, peace with a pulse. And that intimidated them, because when a real one walks in the room, every fake thing gets nervous. They didn't reject you because you were weak. They rejected you because you were strong in ways they didn't understand. You were the mirror. And instead of facing themselves, they chose to shatter you. So, if you're sitting there questioning your worth, don't. If you're wondering, was I too much? No, chosen one, you were too real, and real makes people uncomfortable when they've been surviving off illusion. You gave them access to something priceless, and they fumbled it like it was disposable. But here's the idiomatic truth they'll have to live with. They threw diamonds at the wall, and now they're choking on the dust. You weren't a placeholder. You were the upgrade. You didn't enter their life to orbit around their ego. You were the gravity holding everything together. And when you walked, things didn't just fall apart. They collapsed in slow motion. That's not bitterness speaking. That's balance restoring itself. So use it. Use their betrayal as fuel. Use their dismissal as direction, because sometimes the sharpest form of revenge is simply rising, louder, brighter, and completely out of reach. You don't need to explain what you were. They'll be reminded every time life refuses to give them what you did so effortlessly. This isn't just about losing you, it's about the karma they created, the moment they mishandled what they should have honored. Welcome to the fallout. Let's begin. And before we go deeper, let me say this. If you've ever been mistreated, overlooked, or thrown aside after showing up as nothing but a blessing, then this message is for you. Not just to hear, but to feel in your bones. Because this isn't just a video, it's a mirror, and chosen ones like you don't watch things like this by accident. You were sent here the same way you were sent into their lives, with purpose. So if you're ready to stop questioning yourself and start understanding the power of what they lost, hit that like button, subscribe to stay in this energy, and drop a 77 in the comments if you know their karma started the second you walked away. And if this message is already hitting something deep, consider dropping a super thanks to show love and help fuel more content that speaks the truth they can't handle. Because what's coming next, it's not just relatable, it's confirmation. If you're truly one of the chosen, you'll feel every word like it's your own story being told back to you. Let's get into it, step by step. And believe me, this isn't just coincidence, it's karma in motion. Number 1, the mirror walked in, and they chose to break it, not face it. They couldn't handle their own reflection, so they smashed the mirror and blamed the glass. They didn't destroy you because you were wrong. They destroyed you because you were right, and it scared the life out of them. My dear chosen ones, let's break this wide open. You were never too intense, too honest, too raw. You were just clear in a way that stripped away their illusions. You didn't even have to try. Just by being you, you made them feel exposed. That's what real power looks like, effortless disruption. You walked into their life like a mirror with a heartbeat, not to judge, not to shame, just to reflect, and that alone made them panic. Because people who spend their lives hiding behind versions of themselves they can barely hold together. They can't handle clarity, they can't handle truth that isn't sugar-coated or filtered. So instead of facing what your presence quietly revealed, they chose destruction, not self-reflection, not accountability, destruction. You didn't have to say a word. Your loyalty exposed their selfishness. Your empathy revealed their cruelty. Your consistency made their chaos obvious. And instead of growing, instead of seeing you as a wake-up call, they saw you as a threat. Not because you attacked them, but because you held up a reflection they weren't ready to face. And let's be honest, they didn't really hate you. They hated what they saw in themselves through you. You reminded them of every insecurity they buried under fake confidence, every wound they never healed, every truth they never wanted to face. And so they did what cowards do when confronted with something real. They attacked it, dismissed it, mocked it, tried to make you feel small, hoping it would shrink the reflection back into something they could live with. But here's the twist they never saw coming. You were never the problem. You were the missed opportunity. You were the one person who didn't just see their flaws. You saw their potential. You didn't come to break them down. You came to help them build. But they couldn't distinguish healing from harm, growth from threat, or real love from control. So they broke the mirror, and now they're left picking up the sharp pieces of their own reflection, bleeding, confused, stuck with an image they no longer know how to manage. And you, chosen one, don't you dare carry their shame. Don't you dare let their fear of facing themselves become your reason for dimming. You didn't ruin anything. You illuminated it. You weren't too much. You were too precise. And that precision made their masks crack. Now they walk through life, haunted by the version of themselves they saw when they stood beside you. And trust me, that memory, it cuts deeper than any goodbye ever could. You were never the villain. You were the mirror. And they shattered it because they couldn't stand to look at the truth that stared silently back. They blamed the glass, but it was always the reflection that broke them. Number 2, you handed them the blueprint. They laughed while standing on cracks. They laughed at the blueprint, not realizing you were the whole damn architect. They mistook your silence for absence, your humility for lack, but what they failed to see is that you were the map and they chose to walk blind. My dear chosen ones, you didn't just walk into their life, you arrived with strategy, with structure, with the unspoken ability to see the future they couldn't even imagine for themselves. You weren't guessing. You knew. You carried the kind of wisdom that only comes from scars that healed into knowledge. And the wildest part, you didn't show off. You didn't wave it around like a flag. You showed up with blueprints rolled under your arm, ready to build something powerful, if only they had been ready to receive it. But they weren't. See, when you're chosen, your power isn't always loud. It's quiet. It's the kind of presence that speaks through action, through insight, through timing. But small minds can't recognize greatness unless it's wrapped in labels, lights, and applause. And so they mistook the architect for the intern. They mocked your ideas. They overlooked your input. They rolled their eyes at the very structure that could have saved them years of pain. And now, they're knee-deep in chaos, wondering why nothing is working, why everything keeps falling apart, no matter how many times they rebuild. The answer's simple. They threw away the blueprint. They lost you. You weren't there just to offer love. You were there to offer alignment. You saw the cracks in their emotional foundation. You knew exactly where their mindset was slipping, exactly how their patterns would sabotage everything they claimed to want. And you tried. You genuinely tried. You gave advice they didn't ask for, but desperately needed. You showed care in the middle of their chaos. And in return, they dismissed you. They treated you like background noise in a story you were trying to upgrade into a legacy. Now they're left with shallow connections, broken habits, and an emotional house built on sand. Not because you did anything wrong, but because they didn't recognize what was standing right in front of them. You weren't the assistant to their growth. You were the growth, the guide, the damn architect of their breakthrough. And, chosen one, here's what you need to hear. They didn't reject you because you lacked value. They rejected you because your value required them to grow. And growth? That scared them more than failure. Because building something real takes vulnerability, humility, accountability. 3 things they weren't ready to face, even if it meant losing you. So let them struggle, let them build with broken tools, and wonder why nothing lasts. Because while they're stuck repeating the same cycles, you're already moving forward, designing your next chapter with precision. And no, it's not revenge, it's just reality. They mocked the blueprint, and now they're living in ruins. Number 3. They thought you came to serve, but you were the wake-up call they ignored. They mistook you for a servant, but you were the wake-up call they ignored. They thought they had you wrapped around their ego, but the truth is, they were standing face to face with the lesson life sent to break their patterns. My dear chosen ones, let's call it exactly what it is. They misread you completely. They saw your patience as permission, your loyalty as weakness, and your kindness as a green light to take and take without consequence. They thought you were there to serve their comfort, stroke their ego, fix their mess, or revolve around their chaos like some emotionally available side character. But they were dead wrong. You weren't the help. You were the test. You weren't sent to be consumed. You were sent to confront. Your very presence was a checkpoint, the moment in their story where growth was possible, where change was offered, where evolution could have begun. But instead of recognizing the opportunity, they used it to feed their control complex. They played you like a game they thought they were winning. But here's what they didn't realize. You were the only one holding the exit key to the cycle they've been trapped in for years. They thought they were in charge, that they had you figured out. But what they never understood is that real power doesn't perform. It observes, it offers, and if unrecognized, it removes itself, quietly, completely, and without begging. You didn't show up to chase validation or cling to broken people. You showed up to be the shift, a living, breathing chance for them to step out of survival mode and into something higher. But instead of rising with you, they chose to compete, compare, manipulate, and dismiss. Not because you weren't valuable, but because your light made them feel exposed in their own dysfunction. And now they're fumbling through life, asking questions they don't know how to answer. Why do things feel off? Why does nothing click anymore? Why does everything feel heavier? The answer's simple. The moment you walked away, the balance shifted. The energy left. The lesson packed its bags and moved on. Because chosen ones don't stick around to be mistreated twice. You were never a supporting character. You were the turning point, the inflection, the shift. They didn't just lose a person, they lost alignment. They failed a test they didn't even realize they were taking. And karma? Karma isn't always loud. Sometimes it's the slow unraveling of everything they thought they could fake their way through. Let them wonder, let them spiral, let them feel the weight of what they mishandled, because losing you wasn't just a consequence, it was their warning. A warning they'll remember every time life gives them less than what you gave so effortlessly. Chosen ones don't stay where they're disrespected. They leave. And when they do, everything that was once possible goes with them. Number 4. You were the last exit before self-destruction. They burned the road behind you. They burned the bridge. Now they're lost in a wilderness of their own making. They didn't just lose you. They lost the last piece of peace they didn't have to earn. My dear chosen ones, sometimes you're not sent to fix the wreckage. You're sent to be the final warning before the collapse. You weren't their hero. You weren't there to rescue them. But you were the last solid ground before they fell into the chaos they kept pretending didn't exist. You didn't come wrapped in a cape. You came with calm, with clarity, with something they didn't even realize they needed: a pause. Your presence slowed the crash. You brought stability into a storm they created, not with a lecture, but with how you showed up. You gave them grace without keeping score. You offered consistency without conditions. You were the one thing in their life that didn't try to use them, manipulate them, or drain them. But instead of choosing to grow with you, they chose to test how far you'd bend. And when you didn't break, they burned the bridge. They thought your loyalty meant they had you on a leash. They thought your forgiveness was permission to keep disrespecting you. They assumed your compassion came with no expiration date. But chosen one, your presence wasn't a guarantee. It was a gift, a rare kind of alignment that life doesn't hand out twice. And when they kept taking without ever learning, the connection snapped. And no, it wasn't drama. It was the result of a one-sided effort stretched too thin for too long. Now they're wandering, not because you cursed them, but because you left. And what they're facing now isn't random. It's the fallout, the drought after they poured out every drop of what you gave and left nothing in return. That silence they're living in, that confusion, that emotional isolation, that's not just life falling apart. That's the sound of a bridge they torched crying out in echo. They didn't see you as their last bridge, but that's exactly what you were, the last reminder they were still redeemable, the last one who believed in the version of them they buried under ego, defense mechanisms, and pride. And now that you're gone, they're surrounded by people who tolerate their dysfunction instead of challenging it. Surrounded by noise, but starving for substance. They're with people who say yes to everything, but can't hold space for anything real. And the worst part, they feel it. Even if they never admit it, they feel it. They reach out to others, but no one feels like you. No one anchors them. No one holds a mirror up with love the way you did. They're in the wilderness now. Not because life abandoned them, but because they pushed the only steady presence away and laughed while doing it. You were the bridge, the last one, and they didn't just walk away from you, they lit the match. Now they're lost, and the silence they once ignored, it's screaming louder than your voice ever did. Number 5. They traded depth for applause. Now they're drowning in shallow circles. They swapped the crown for clout, and now they're drowning in counterfeits. They reached for attention and let go of authenticity. Now they've got the crowd, but not a single soul who truly knows them. My dear chosen ones, this one cuts deep because you weren't just another presence in their life. You were royalty in disguise, not the kind that needed a stage or a spotlight, not the kind that flexed or begged to be seen. You carried something far rarer, substance. You moved with quiet strength, clear boundaries, unwavering integrity. While the world screamed for attention, you didn't flinch. You just were real, solid, unshakable. And that scared them, because your presence did something their fake friends and filtered lives never did. It demanded depth. You didn't ask them to change, but being near you forced them to feel the emptiness inside themselves. The masks they wore suddenly felt heavy. The noise they loved suddenly sounded hollow. You weren't a mirror this time. You were a standard. And they couldn't reach it, not because you were too high, but because they weren't willing to climb. So they made a choice. They chose relevance over realness. They chased applause instead of alignment. They swapped truth for trends, loyalty for likes, and purpose for popularity. They didn't want to grow. They wanted to glow, even if it meant burning everything real to keep the performance going. They were never ready for someone like you, because being around you meant they had to face everything fake inside them. But now they're sitting in rooms full of people who only show up when the cameras are on, surrounded by yes men and temporary fans. They're co-signed by people who don't care, celebrated by crowds who wouldn't stay if the spotlight faded. They gave up the one person who actually saw their potential and wanted nothing but their peace, just to be seen by people who wouldn't even notice if they disappeared tomorrow. And chosen one, don't for a second wish you stayed, because what they traded you for, it's all noise, empty validation, shallow love, attention without connection. They thought they were leveling up. But now they're surrounded by counterfeits who clap while they crumble. And the irony? That applause doesn't comfort them anymore. It just reminds them of what they lost. They had royalty, realness, stability, the rare kind of loyalty that doesn't ask for anything in return but respect. And they threw it away like it was replaceable. But you don't come around twice. And now the silence you left behind is louder than every cheer they chased. That's not just karma, chosen one. That's justice disguised as loneliness. And it's playing on repeat every time they look around and realize they got everything they thought they wanted and lost the one thing that was real. Number 6. You were quietly healing them. Now they're loudly falling apart. They mocked the medicine. Now the pain won't let them sleep. You weren't just comfort. You were the cure. And now they're aching in places only your presence ever reached. My dear chosen ones, let's talk about the kind of power that doesn't demand attention. It commands healing. The kind of presence that doesn't walk in shouting, but enters quietly and changes everything without saying a word. That was you. You weren't just nice, kind, or supportive. You were medicine in human form, but they didn't recognize it because it didn't come with a warning label or a price tag. You see, the most powerful healers don't show up in white coats. They show up in consistency, in the way they listen without judging, in how they hold space for your chaos without absorbing it, in how they don't try to fix you. They just make it safe to be broken. That's what you did, without fanfare, without force, and they mistook that kind of grace for something ordinary. You softened their sharp edges. You calmed storms they never told you about. You steadied a world they couldn't even explain. While they were lashing out, doubting, spiraling, your presence was stitching together the parts of them that had been bleeding out for years. Childhood scars, ego wounds, cracked identities. You were doing surgery on their soul without ever needing a scalpel. Just your energy was enough. But instead of thanking the healer, they rejected the healing. They laughed at what they couldn't understand, mocked the peace you gave like it was weakness, bruised the very hands that were holding them together. Because real healing, it's uncomfortable, it requires honesty, it demands surrender, and they weren't ready for that. So instead of rising to your level, they tried to drag you down to theirs. And now they sit alone in the noise. But this time, the noise isn't external, it's internal. That anxious hum they can't shut off, that ache they can't numb, that panic they can't name. That's not life punishing them. That's the silent screaming, the one your presence used to soothe, the healing left when you did. And now, all the distractions in the world, parties, attention, hookups, scrolling, drinking, none of it works, because none of it replaces you. And you, chosen one, don't regret leaving. You didn't abandon them. You honored yourself. You gave until you were drained. And when they chose to attack the hand that healed, they made their choice. Now their wounds are wide open. Not because you hurt them, but because you're no longer there to absorb the pain they refuse to face. They finally feel it now, the echo of your presence, the depth of what they lost. You were never just there. You were the one person who saw the mess and stayed, until staying started to cost your own peace. You weren't dramatic. You were divine clarity in a world full of noise. And now that you're gone, the silence is deafening, and the pain unrelenting. Number 7. They watched you bleed and smirked. Now they watch you rise and flinch. They laughed at your pain. Now they choke on the echo of your rise. They turned your pain into a punchline. Now your silence is the loudest reminder of what they lost. My dear chosen ones, this one cuts deep, doesn't it? Because some of the people who should have held you, protected you, stood beside you, chose instead to laugh while you bled. Not literally, but emotionally, spiritually, quietly. They turned your vulnerability into sport. They mocked the parts of you that were raw, open, real. Not because they were strong, but because your strength in that moment looked like weakness to someone too broken to understand depth. They didn't just watch you suffer, they enjoyed it. Let's not sugarcoat it. They got something twisted out of your breaking, the way you kept showing up, even while falling apart, the way you tried to love them through your pain. They saw that as power they could play with, like if they pushed just a little harder, you'd finally snap and they'd win. But what they didn't realize is this: you weren't snapping, you were shedding. They thought the silence was your surrender. They thought your tears were defeat. But chosen ones don't collapse. They transform. And every breakdown you went through in their shadow, that was you becoming bulletproof. The pain didn't destroy you. It refined you. You were bleeding, yes, but you were bleeding forward. And now? Now you're rising in a way they can't unsee. Your growth is their grief, because they watched you struggle, convinced you'd never recover, and now they sit in rooms, scroll through feeds, hear your name, see your wins, and it stings, not because you're flaunting, but because you survived without them, and not just survived, you elevated. You became what they never thought you could without their approval, and that, chosen one, is the real karma. Not punishment, just truth slamming into reality. Let's be real. They thought they'd be ahead by now, thought they'd buried your potential with their jokes, their smear campaigns, their cold shoulder. But you didn't bury, you planted. And while they were laughing, mocking, underestimating, you were taking root. Quietly, relentlessly. Rising without announcement, without needing an audience. Now they're left replaying memories they wish they could rewrite, crying silent tears over someone they swore would never rise. But look at you, you're not fighting back. You became the comeback. You didn't have to clap back. Your glow-up did all the talking. They once joked about your downfall. Now they're haunted by your success. That's not revenge. That's reality. and it burns deeper than any insult ever could. You bled in silence, now you rise in undeniable brilliance. And they lost access to the very thing they once laughed at. Chosen One, let them watch. And as we close this chapter, let's make one thing clear. They didn't lose you by accident. They chose to mishandle a blessing, and now they're living with the aftermath. You didn't just rise, Chosen One. You became untouchable. Let that fuel your next level. Let their silence remind you just how loud your presence truly was. If this hit where it needed to, like this video, subscribe for more and drop 77 in the comments if you know losing you was their karma. And don't forget to share this with someone who needs to hear it.